Well, good morning and welcome to New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling, and I am glad to have you here with me today. It's going to be an interesting day today. I'm going to read something to you, but before I get started, I want you to take a look at the background that's behind me. That is an artist's depiction of what was once the great Library of Alexandria. And I'm going to be talking about libraries and books today, so this was a perfect backdrop for today. So as we get started today, I would like to read to you something out of the Science of Mind book by Ernest Holmes. And it says, there is no question that people throughout the ages have been healed through prayer and faith, that they have been mentally contacted a healing law in this spiritual universe of law and order. How did they contact this law? All prayer is mental, being a certain mental attitude, a certain way of thinking, a certain way of believing, and an uplifting process, a belief in God. Some prayers fall short of this state, while others reach a state of spiritual awareness. We come to understand then that the answer to the prayer is in the prayer when it was prayed. The belief of the one praying sets in motion the law of love, which is the fundamental law of the universe. Man's life in reality is spiritual and mental, and until his thought is healed, no form of cure will be permanent. And that's so true in our lives in so many ways. But what I want to talk about today, and we're going to get back to this idea of prayer, but I read this from a book. And this book is the Science of Mind book written by Ernest Holmes. We often call Science of Mind part of a philosophy that is called New Thought, Ancient Wisdom. And ancient wisdom going back many, many years, even back before the times of the great Library of Alexandria. We'll talk about that for a minute. That library was created some 200 to 300 years before the birth of Christ, and it existed to some possibly 600, 700 years after the birth of Christ. That's a heck of a span. It held the great books of all times. It held the teachings of Aristotle. It held Plato. It held many different things. And at one time, it was the center of all the education in the Western world. Then, along about the 2nd and 3rd century, as a result of a burgeoning, a growing Christian community that felt a threat to its belief system based on books, the library was destroyed, not once but twice. And then some 300 or 400 years later, in about the 7th century, with the conquering Islam forces, the library was once again destroyed in its finality because the books that were contained in the library did not necessarily agree with what was written in the Quran. The power of the book. It's a powerful, powerful thought and concept. As a matter of fact, the Christian religion, historians tell us, was actually the first religion of the book. And what they mean by that is it was the first religion that based its teaching and its authority of its teaching on a particular book. A book that in itself is a library. It's 27 books that were compiled over a period of a couple of hundred years. Depending on your personal belief system, it had one or several authors. In its time of being compiled to its present state, there were books that were included and books that were excluded. Some moved in and some moved out. But again, it was the power of the books. New Thought, Ancient Wisdom, Science of Mind. A lot of our teachings, a lot of our philosophy goes back to this time of the Great Library of Alexandria. And a lot of it goes back to a more recent time in our century, in our country, where it really began to take hold. And that was the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. There was so many New Thought writers at that period of time. And I'm going to use the word New Thought because it's more inclusive than Science of Mind. So, you know, those of you that have watched my show for a long period of time, you know that usually the last segment, I take that time and I talk about a couple of web pages that you can go to and research New Thought. And one of them is a web page that is called www.findasinner.com. And if we could have that page up, I would appreciate it. Now, this is the page that you'll be looking at. And you go to this page, that's the top of the web page. And I'm not sure, okay, it looks like I do have mouse control over here. You can see down here at the bottom of the screen, I'm highlighting these various links here. And this first link that I'm going to highlight is New Thought Authors. Just to the right of that is one that is New Thought Books. And basically, that's the books that are contained within the authors. But let's click on this one here, and here's what we brought up a little something extra here. We can get rid of that. There you go. And what you'll see here is I scroll down in alphabetical order. We have a whole plethora of New Thought pioneer authors. And these people were the thinkers during the time when New Thought was coming together as a workable teaching philosophy, and its growth was predominantly within the Western European area and the United States, with a major influence coming from the United States. What I'd like to do today is take you through this New Thought Library page. We're going to look at some of the authors that have contributed to the founding of many of our New Thought philosophies. Their books are in the library, and anybody can go and access those books. They can take a look, they can read, they can get an understanding of what it is that we're teaching here in New Thought. And I'm going to give you a couple of names. If you've got a paper and pencil handy, it would be a good thing. You can write down these names. First couple names is a couple of women, Melinda Kramer, Fanny Jones, and Nona Brooks. They were the founding members of a New Thought philosophy called Divine Science. Then there was Annie Ritz Millets, and she is the founder of Home of Truth. There is Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. They're the founders of the Unity Organization. Then there's Ernest Holmes and his brother Fenwick Holmes. They are the founders of Religious Science. So as we look through this library, we see that each one of these names, these founding members of these various philosophies, are contained within this library. So it's a little hard for me to take a look at, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to scroll down, and I think, oh, okay.
Can you see right here, Steve?
Yeah, that's better. All right, I'm looking at, is that H. Emily Cady there? I believe it is. H. Emily Cady. H. Emily Cady was a early New Thought Unity minister. She was trained by the Fillmores, and she wrote a book that is called Lessons in Truth, and that book is in the library, and it's located right here. That book today is still one of the founding teaching books in the Unity organization. I highly recommend it as a book for someone that has an interest in New Thought, wants to get a good basic understanding. H. Emily Cady was a doctor who was so taken by the power of the healing power of prayer that she did further research, and she began to study, and she studied with the Fillmores, and this book is a result of that work. And so that's her book. Let's see, let me go back here. I can't. We take me back a couple of page. Yeah. Oh, there we go. I can do it this way. I got it, Mike. All right. We go back here, and we come down here. Again, let's see here. Linda Kramer, I believe this is her right here. We're experimenting today, so you'll bear with me as we go through this. I put Mike to the test at the last minute, told him I wanted to do this so we can see. So we're working this out. Now, Melinda Kramer and Fannie James, who was Fannie Brooks, and her sister Nona Brooks, are the founders of Divine Science. Divine Science was one of the largest New Thought organizations. For those of you that have some experience with the Alcohol Anonymous organization, you might be familiar with Reverend Emmett Fox. Emmett Fox was a Divine Science minister from New York. He was a very powerful minister, and he taught a lot of the basic underpinnings that ultimately were included in some of the philosophy of AA that Bill W. and Dr. Bob incorporated. They actually got from Emmett Fox, and he was a Divine Science minister. And Emmett Fox is also located in the library. And so let's see what we're doing here. All right, there. Okay, I'm trying. Lost my mouse. Okay, well, I just want to go back here because I don't want to have a lot of dead air. All right, so we'll work this out. It's about time. Let's go to our first break, and we'll see if we can't get this a little better situated, and I will be back.
This just in. Tower District houses are selling for as little as $300 per month. If you have a job and decent credit, you can own your own home. If you can come up with a down payment, you can own a home a lot cheaper than you can rent, and your payment will never go up. Also, you could deduct most of your house payment from your income taxes. If you'd like to lock in your monthly house payment at $300 to $500 per month for the next 30 years, call Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
Hey, my name is Chris DeVold, and I am host of one of CentralValleyTalk.com's hottest new shows, Sex, Drugs, and Chris DeVold, where we sit around for an hour and read the Bible. No, we don't. You think with a name like Sex, Drugs, and Chris DeVold, that's what we're doing? No. We sit around, we talk about lewd topics, we drink beer, and I vow to bring you one local live musician every friggin' week. You can count on that. So grab your best friend, come to the studio or watch from home, and get ready to blush every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on Sex, Drugs, and Chris DeVold.
You can advertise your business, your product, or your event on Central Valley Talk, the Valley's only internet television station. Several of our programs are also picked up on Dish and cable networks. For the best advertising dollar, call Central Valley Talk at 579-1360.
You're watching CentralValleyTalk.com.
Central. If you like pool or billiards, you would love the Break Room, located near Ashland and 99 by the Foster's Freeze. On Sunday nights, enjoy dollar beer. Tuesday, ladies play for free. Wednesday, take advantage of unlimited play for only $5. And come on out every Thursday for our beer pong tournament. Did you know that the largest local amateur pool league plays at the Break Room? If you want to join a league, call the Break Room at 276-9000. 276-9000. Come thirsty and come hungry. The Break Room has a large selection of beer and ballpark-style snacks, all at a reasonable price. Let's play pool at the Break Room at Ashland and 99.
Well, welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in beautiful downtown Madera, and I think we're working through some great technical innovations here today as I'm bringing this information to you based on a couple of web pages. Before I go back to the web pages, I want to take a minute, though, and tell you about the organization that puts these pages together, and they're here for anybody in the entire world. Anybody that has access to a computer can come online and they can resource through this library. They can resource through Find a Center and some of the other resources that we'll be talking about today. And this organization is called Serving New Thought. They've been around since about 1992, providing resources for New Thought denominations across the board. It makes no difference whether you're a Unity, a Divine Science, Religious Science, any of the various New Thought organizations have access to the services and the products that this organization puts together. And the entire staff of this organization basically is made up of volunteers that are located throughout the world. They put together the books for the library. They help research the centers for the Find a Center link, which we'll put together or we'll look at later. They also work on creating resources for students, for people that are researching New Thought, or people that are working to grow their spirituality. And it comes through this Serving New Thought organization. Very powerful organization that is very dedicated to seeing New Thought grow throughout the entire world. So I just wanted to give them a plug, and now as we're going to move on, I'd talked about a couple of various books that are authors that are in this library. I want to go down here, and we're going to scroll down. I started with Melinda Kramer. Melinda Kramer is one of the founding members for Divine Science. If you will look at her page here, you'll see Divine Science Principles and Practice. That is still one of the foundational teaching textbooks for students that are becoming ministers in Divine Science, and it's right here in the library. It's available to anybody that chooses to take a look at it. You see here, we open the page up, and it also includes the co-author of the book, Fanny James. Once we get to the contents, and here you've got a early history of Divine Science, Revelations, and it gives you some of the theory and some of the practice behind Divine Science, which is, like I said, basically it is a New Thought philosophy. We go back here, I want to scroll down a little bit further, and we come down, we see here in the deeds, there's a fellow here that's in the library. His name is Horatio Dresser. Now, the significance of Horatio Dresser is that he is the son of a couple of people that were students and friends with a fellow by the name of Phineas Quimby. And if you look down in the queues in the library, you will see that Phineas Quimby's work is also listed in the library. You can read it. But Phineas Quimby is oftentimes counted as one of the founding fathers of the New Thought philosophy within the United States, and ultimately as it came into the world. And Horatio Dresser took it upon himself as a young man. He grew up in this philosophy, and he wrote books on the teaching of it, but he also wrote books that outline the early years, told the life of Quimby and told the life story of some of the other individuals who worked with Quimby in the development of this concept of a New Thought philosophy. So we've got Horatio Dresser here that we can look at. We come down here a little bit further. Ralph Waldo Emerson, who should be familiar to many of you. Ralph Waldo Emerson is one of the members of the Transcendentalist group, which included the Brownings, it included Nathaniel Hawthorne, it included Henry David Thoreau. Early on, before we actually had what we call New Thought, we had the Transcendentalist group. And they were, at the time that they were gathering and meeting and writing, formulating and putting down ideas that later became very powerful concept incorporated in the New Thought philosophy. Then we come down to the F's, and we've got Charles Fillmore, Cora Fillmore, his daughter, Myrtle Fillmore, his wife. The Fillmores were the founding people in the Unity movement. It's still a very strong New Thought movement in the world today. If you come here and you take a look at Charles Fillmore page, you can see that there's quite a few different books of Fillmore's that are contained within the library. Some of these are the basis of the Unity philosophy. There's the 12 Powers of Man. There's Teach Us to Pray. There's Talks on Truth, The Revealing Word, The Atom-Smashing Power of Mind. Many different other books that just in the mere reading and beginning to understand these principles, if you put them into practice in your life, it will be a power that will change your life, not just for a little bit, but forever. If we come on down here, we have Fanny James, who I mentioned earlier. William James, we've got his book in here that is his one real contribution to the New Thought philosophy, and that is the varieties of the religious experience. And in it, he discusses the older paradigms and dogmas and the newer ones. William James, if you might recall, is one of the founding fathers of psychology in the United States. I want to get on down here to, we now come, I've got Ernest Holmes and Fenwick Holmes. Ernest Holmes obviously is the founder of the organization that is known as Religious Science. Today it goes by Centers for Spiritual Living. He is the author of the book that I read from, The Science of Mind. And in the library here we see many different books that are written by Ernest Holmes that are contained within the library. The Bible in Light of Religious Science, Creative Mind, it was written in 1917. The Philosophy of Jesus, New Thought Terms and Their Meanings, gives you kind of an understanding when certain terms are used in the New Thought philosophy, exactly what it is that we're talking about, what it means. And here we come down, we see Science of Mind, 1926. That is the original textbook that was written by Ernest Holmes. And for someone that is looking to get into New Thought, religious science, this is a powerful book. It takes you through, you start in the beginning, and it's done almost like a series of lessons, if you will. And it will take you through, it will give you explanations, understandings, concepts, insights, and it is just a very powerful place to start in your spiritual journey into New Thought. We go back here and we take a look. Fenwick Holmes. Now, Fenwick Holmes, the book that's contained in here was written before Dr. Ernest Holmes wrote his book, but this is a book, it's called The Law of Mind in Action. It was an early New Thought text and series of lessons. Very powerful book. I still refer to this book oftentimes today as I'm putting together some of my study plans for my Sunday celebrations out in Madera. And I highly recommend going through this and reading what Dr. Fenwick Holmes had to say, these early concepts in the power of the mind, the power of spirit, where God fits into our lives, and a mystical understanding of that. It's quite a, not only an entertaining but informative book. And we're going to go back here to the library. I want to scroll back up to the top now. I've kind of put off James Allen. James Allen was a British thinker in the New Thought movement. He wrote many books that are still, some of them are still in print today. And these, As a Man Thinketh, was written in 1902, and you can still go to a bookstore today and find this book in print, still being sold at a pretty good rate. It is a powerful teaching in the New Thought philosophy, empowering the individual, understanding that God is not some concept that sits in a chair in some place far away, but that God is ever present, ever powerful, and is an ever powerful presence in your life. And you can take this concept and you can apply it to your daily living and no longer become a victim to the vagaries of life, but now you become an empowered creator in the life that you choose to live. So James Allen is another powerful presence that is found within the library, and I highly would recommend that you take the time to read him. Gosh, there's so many books I could spend so much time going through here. I want to cover some of them. Joseph Murphy, they don't have a lot of his stuff, but you can find him still in the bookstore. He's a later writer in the New Thought movement, and he wrote The Power of the Subconscious Mind is one of the books that is probably still on the bestsellers list today. Here we see Phineas Quimby. Quimby, like I say, he was considered one of, if not the founding member of what we call New Thought in the United States. And here is the Quimby manuscripts. And what these are his understanding of how he went through and how he discovered certain spiritual principles that he began to put into practice in healing people, and this was during about the 1860s. And it's informative reading, and it has some very good tools in there. Now we have Florence Scovel Shinn. One of the things about women in New Thought, along about the end of the 19th century, the women's suffragette movement was moving along pretty powerfully. And one of the things in New Thought was it was wide open to women in ministry. We felt that in New Thought that women held just as much an equal place in the eyes of the divine as anybody else, and therefore they were equally endowed with all the power and intelligence that any living being had, and therefore they could understand, teach, and become ministers just as easily as men. So you found a lot of women moved into the New Thought teaching, the New Thought movement. Florence Scovel Shinn was one of those women. There are books that she wrote, and these are books that are still in print today. The Game of Life and How to Play It, The Power of the Spoken Word, The Secret Door to Success. And if you, as I've been going through this, you might get a feeling, because I'm talking about success and personal power, that this is what New Thought really discovered in a spiritual way, that being successful, being self-empowered, being self-creative, these were things that were not taught in traditional dogma, not shared. Oftentimes they were even denigrated in the church, that someone would dare to want to rise above their position. In New Thought, we began to understand that the divine principle stated that if you were to truly honor God, then you were to take all of God's good and put it to use in your lives. And that meant that self-empowerment and success in such a way that you did not take from or harm another human being, allowed you to grow and allowed you to be the person that God really created you to be. And so on that point, I'm going to go to my next commercial break. I'll see you when we come back.
Welcome to Jothny's Porch.
About that.
We have been doing this for a
that.
year.
Yeah.
My memory of the porch is that it's very much where women rule. It was almost a throne.
You going like that?
Oh, I'm circular. See, Southern folks are circular. What you said, preach. You want me to preach? Love sharing. Those things and those things that'll make you stronger and better and go for.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Turn me around. Hey. Turn me around, ain't gonna let nobody.
Okay, no more drama. To myself, I said self, myself said yeah.
That was a good one.
That was good, girl. I'm good. I'm for you to become the best reflection of yourself. And what was that? The one God intended all along. We're going to get there together, I promise. Thank God for the post.
If you're looking for a home in the Central Unified School District, this 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,658 square foot home is near Clinton and Cornelia. It's walking distance to El Capitan Middle School and about a mile from Central High School. The property should qualify for FHA. We show this house on Saturdays only. We have open houses each Saturday at 1 p.m. Follow the Mike Briggs Properties open house signs any Saturday at 1 o'clock. For more information, give us a call at our office, 486-6758, or go to MikeBriggsProperties.com.
You're watching CentralValleyTalk.com.
Central Valley Talk. If you like pool or billiards, you would love the Break Room, located near Ashland and 99 by the Foster's Freeze. On Sunday nights, enjoy dollar beer. Tuesday, ladies play for free. Wednesday, take advantage of unlimited play for only $5. And come on out every Thursday for our beer pong tournament. Did you know that the largest local amateur pool league plays at the Break Room? If you want to join a league, call the Break Room at 276-9000. 276-9000. Come thirsty and come hungry. The Break Room has a large selection of beer and ballpark-style snacks, all at a reasonable price. Let's play pool at the Break Room at Ashland and 99.
Well, welcome back to our third segment of New Thought Talk. Today I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in the beautiful downtown Madera. And as we go through today, I'm taking you through some of the web pages that are provided free of charge to each and every one of us. They're resources as we learn to grow our spirituality in New Thought. Or even if you're just learning, you want to learn about various philosophies that, and not only New Thought, but the library includes some other teachings in there too, and we'll get to that in just a minute. So we left off, we were looking at Florence Scovel Shinn. I wanted to come down here and touch on Ralph Waldo Trine. Ralph Waldo Trine, he left us in the mid-1950s, but he was a powerful New Thought author, and one of his books called Being in Tune with the Infinite, The Fullness of Peace and Power and Plenty. If I were to recommend possibly one book to start with, I think I've recommended a couple already, but this would be one of them. It is a great book, and it gives you a great background, and it gives you an understanding of what New Thought is and how it empowers and plays out in your life. We move on down here. I wanted to take a moment and touch on Judge Thomas Troward. If you are a student of New Thought, you will, of course, know of Judge Troward. He wrote several books, the Dore Lectures, the Edinburgh Lectures. He wrote the Hidden Power, the Law and the Word. He wrote the Bible Mystery and Bible Meaning. Judge Troward was an Englishman, and he was a student of the Eastern philosophies. He was a student of the Bible. He learned Hebrew, he learned Greek, so he could read the Bible in both the Old and New Testament in its original language. And he was a very deep thinker. And after he retired from his judgeship in the Punjab province of India, he returned to England, where he began to put his beliefs or his understandings of these teachings and philosophies down on paper. Ernest Holmes was an individual who read Judge Troward's work and began to see how it fit into the developing New Thought philosophy that was growing in the United States. And for Holmes, this capped and gave him the final understanding that put together the whole philosophy for him in the concept that he calls the science of mind, a philosophy, a practicing philosophy that utilizes principles of spirituality and allows us to create a better life, a more empowered life, and to understand that when we live by these principles, that things, effects and conditions in our lives are things and effects and conditions that we have control over. So Judge Troward, he can be a little difficult to read. I personally like reading him, but I know a lot of people find him rather lengthy. He was a judge, so he writes oftentimes in a legalistic way, if you will. But he's in there for you. There is a writing from Neil Donald Walsh. And here we've got a Wallace Wattles. If you happen to have been someone that saw the movie The Secret, you will have become familiar with Mr. Wattles. He wrote The Science of Getting Rich, The Science of Being Great, and so on and so forth. But The Science of Getting Rich is still in print today. You can go down to your local bookstore, or Amazon now, I guess, and you can order it. It is still used by many that teach prosperity principles as a foundational teaching. Although Mr. Wattles himself was not necessarily a teacher of New Thought, what he did teach were principles that were in alignment with New Thought principles and philosophy. It's right there for you to read. You don't have to go to Amazon. You don't have to download for your Kindle. You can find it right here in the newthoughtlibrary.com. We come down here. I want to take a moment. I mentioned earlier the The role of women in the early New Thought movement, how powerful it was. One woman in particular is a woman by the name of Ella Wheeler Wilcox. And for those of you that are not young, I won't say necessarily old, you will probably have heard a line from one of her poems that goes something like, "Laugh and the world laughs with you, weep and you weep alone." This was penned by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. She was a columnist for the Hearst newspaper, and she was a very prominent thinker in the New Thought movement. And in the library here, you'll find a book by her that is called The Heart of New Thought. It is a great introductory book to New Thought and to the New Thought teachings. And so that's there for you to look at. We have Paramahansa Yogananda. He was the founder of the Self-Realization Fellowship, and his premier book, Autobiography of a Yogi, can be found in here. If we scroll back up to the top here, let's see, I don't remember offhand. I lost it. Well, anyway, there are many. You could spend hours going through the various authors in the books that are in the New Thought library to get an understanding, or if you are a New Thought student, to deepen your understanding of what you're studying about New Thought. But now I mentioned that Serving New Thought provides various other services to individuals. And I want to come over here off the side. We have several little links here, and one of them is Find a Center, and we'll get back to that. But the next link I want to come down here is called the Divine Journal. And in the Divine Journal, this is a daily journal that includes writings from some of the early New Thought pioneers. Today's journal entry happens to be from Charles Fillmore. You can see it is Saturday, May 4th, 2013. There is a quote from one of Mr. Fillmore's books. There is some insight to that, and you may find an affirmation down below. But as we look across the top here, we see the Divine Journal, classic authors, and those are authors that you will find in the library. But here you find, on this particular link, we have Divine Journal featured new authors, and this happens to be a personal favorite of mine because when you go to this particular page, you're going to find 4 New Thought authors that are featured here. One of them is Reverend Donna Williams. She is from Ohio. There is Reverend Dr. Gail Stewart. She is from New Mexico. There is the Reverend Seer Ashlamaz. He is out of Georgia. And down here at the bottom, we have the Reverend Steve Walling. And of course, that's me. And so we'll just take a look at the link that you'll find here, and it takes you to the Divine Journal. Now, this page can be accessed from the web page from my center. But if you want to know what it is Madera, sac.divinejournal.com. And you come down here, and here is a picture of yours truly and Reverend Dr. Steve Walling, Spiritual Exploration for today, Saturday, May 4th. And this particular quote I took, I believe, is from James Allen. This is the quote. This is the insight that I wrote on the quote. And then I have included an affirmation for today. And then if you come down here, see where I highlight at this point, if you were to choose that link, that will take you to As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. That is the source of the quote that I use. And so you can go back and you can research exactly what the author of the quote was talking about. And that, of course, brings you back into the library. So this is for a student of New Thought, this is a very powerful tool in your daily spiritual journey. There are many other journals that are out there, people that are working on them, ministers that are not here in the Divine Journal, but they are available through Serving New Thought to the community that the individual ministers are serving through their centers and their churches. So that is another one of the powerful tools that we have. And then I'm going to take time now. We're going to go to the other premier link, which is Find a Center. Now, I've talked about Find a Center through my program many different times, because what I found to be surprising was after we started the show and we were growing and we were developing an audience, we have an audience of an international flavor, which really surprised me, because my intention for this show was really a show for the Central Valley of California and our local community. But what I found, the great, wonderful world of computers, our production staff was able to track the statistics, who was watching the show, what part of the world. And I found that we had viewers in Western Europe, we had viewers in Canada, we had viewers in Australia, we had viewers in the Middle East, and some from Southeast Asia, and I was very, very surprised. So it was, I was very happy to be able to have this resource to be able to share with our audience, because no matter where you're at in the world, if you have access to a computer, and if you're watching the show, of course, you do have access to a computer, you can go to findacenter.com or findacenter.org, and when we come back from our next break, I'll take you through and I'll show you how you can find centers anywhere in the world near you. The work that has gone into preparing this website is just incredible. And so I see we're going to take a commercial break, and I'll go into exactly what that work's about and how to navigate through this center when we come back. Thank you.
Talk.com. This segment is brought to you by Corrine Hatfield of Platinum Mortgage. If you are thinking of purchasing a new home or refinancing an existing home, call Corrine Hatfield at 917-7111.
This just in. Tower District houses are selling for as little as $300 per month. If you have a job and decent credit, you can own your own home. If you can come up with a down payment, you can own a home a lot cheaper than you can rent, and your payment will never go up. Also, you could deduct most of your house payment from your income taxes. If you'd like to lock in your monthly house payment at $300 to $500 per month for the next 30 years, call Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
Hey, my name is Chris DeVold, and I am host of one of CentralValleyTalk.com's hottest new shows, Sex, Drugs, and Chris DeVold, where we sit around for an hour and read the Bible. No, we don't. You think with a name like Sex, Drugs, and Chris DeVold, that's what we're doing? No. We sit around, we talk about lewd topics, we drink beer, and I vow to bring you one local live musician every friggin' week. You can count on that. So grab your best friend, come to the studio or watch from home, and get ready to blush every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on Sex, Drugs, and Chris DeVold.
You can advertise your business, your product, or your event on Central Valley Talk, the Valley's only internet television station. Several of our programs are also picked up on Dish and cable networks. For the best advertising dollar, call Central Valley Talk at 579-1360.
You're watching CentralValleyTalk.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back. This is our last segment, and I was just telling our production staff, it amazes me, when we get started, I think, boy, we've got a whole hour. How am I going to fill that time? And when we get to the last segment, I go to myself, I think about, man, where did all the time go? So anyway, we got our last segment, and I've saved findacenter.com to close off our segment, our show with today. It is a powerful tool if you happen to be someone that is curious about New Thought, if you happen to be a New Thought student. And I've talked about New Thought, and I've talked about the various denominations. So we're going to take a look here. We look at this page, this New Thought, or findacenter.com, and once again, this is a page that was put together by Serving New Thought. We scroll all the way down to the page, and once we get down here, you'll see in this area down here, we have divine science, divine unity, religious science, unity, and various other New Thought philosophies. They're listed down here, and if you notice, there is a link to the various organizations that represent these different New Thought philosophies. So you can do a little more personal research there, find something that may be a little more particular to you, or just get a greater understanding of what's out there. Now, this page has just recently gone through an upgrade that's taken a better than a year's worth of work to do. I told you that Serving New Thought has volunteers that put this stuff together. Over a period of a year, or possibly even two, there are several hundred volunteers that took the time to, throughout the entire world, to research all the New Thought centers that they could find. They play no favorites. Any New Thought organization, denomination that they can find is listed in the Find Us Center in any part of the world. That's a pretty powerful gift that they've brought to the world of New Thought, and I myself am very grateful to them for doing that, and at times I have participated as a volunteer in this program. So obviously I am interested in it. But if you take a look here, we have a map of the world, and we're going to start right here in the U.S. So I put my cursor there on the U.S., and it takes me to this map right here. I've watched this show. I'm a new thoughter, and I'm going, well, gee whiz, you know, what is available near me? What kind of New Thought Center, where can I go? What can I find out? Well, here it is, a map of the United States. And if we go over here to Ohio, for example, we click on the state of Ohio, and we have a map of the page, and we scroll down, and here's a New Thought Center. And this one in particular is located in Akron, and we find all the information on their listing here. It tells about the name of the center. It gives you, that's obviously a link to their address, so I'm sure there's probably a map that goes with that. It tells about the center itself. It gives you the various information on the ministers, when it was founded, and it incorporates a link. And so we take a look at this link right here, and we click on the link, and here you go. This is the web page for the Summit Spiritual Center located in Akron, Ohio. Its senior minister, well, let's see, who is their minister? We go over here and we take a look, ministry team. And here we go. We have Michael Magnus, and he is a religious science practitioner who is working on getting his ministerial ticket. He is the senior director of this center. I happen to know Michael through the internet personally. I like him. He's a heck of a guy. And if you happen to be in Akron, Ohio, I would recommend that you look him up. But my point is, this information is here, and it is available to you if you happen to be in Akron, Ohio. Let's go back up here, and we'll I'm going to go back here. I lost my authors in New Thought. All right, we'll go back down here to Find the Center. Taking you the long way around this, but here we go. We're back to the United States, and we're gonna move to California, someplace a little closer to home for me. And as we look through California, we're going to come down here because it's personal to me. I want to take you down to the M listings in California. And just because it happens to be in alphabetical order, here we go. Madera, California. Place that's near and dear to my heart is the Spiritual Awareness Center, located in Madera, California. And again, you take a look here, and you see we have our address there, and if you were to choose that link, it would take you to a map that shows you where our center is located there on D Street in downtown Madera. And also, here's our web page. So you can access our web page through Find a Center. And this is our web page for the Madera Spiritual Awareness Center, where you'll find, you want to find out what our belief systems are, when our services is. We have Reverend Jim. He's one of our senior ministers. He writes a weekly column. If you click on our audio, you'll find an audio archive of most all of the talks that we've done there for the last 2 years. Here's our calendar of events. So if we take a look at our calendar, for example, if you're someone that's wanting to find out about this stuff, we come down here. So Sunday, that would be tomorrow, May 5th, my topic is going to be growing. It's a process. It is our birthday Sunday. We celebrate birthdays for the month for anybody that happens to have a birthday in a month. We've got May 12th, and then we've got a special guest speaker coming on the 19th of May. That's Dr. Avalon, and he happens to be from Serving New Thought. So you can access all of this about my center in Madera through my webpage, and you can access my webpage right here through Find a Center. Well, that's fine and dandy, but what about if we happen to be a... I'm going to go back down here again. I lost my page. Hopefully you're more computer savvy than I am. Where did I go here? Oh, this is fine. Okay. You happen to be in some other part of the world. So, you know, I've showed you the United States. Let's take a look down here in South Africa. Come down here in South Africa and we take a look, and right here we have Light of Truth, and there's information about the center. And once again, there is their webpage. And we clicked on their webpage, and here we go, Light of Truth. And here is a link to various things about the center. And here is Reverend Norma, I believe it's pronounced Sekheim. She is the senior minister, and that's in South Africa. Any part of the world that you happen to be located, you can find a center near you at findacenter.com. A lot of hard work has gone into this. They provide this as services to New Thought organizations. And if you happen to be from a New Thought organization, there are links, and you can check at the top of the page, New Thought Centers listing requirements and how centers can update their listings. It's all there for each and every one. This is a powerful tool for centers as they are developing their congregation. It's a powerful tool for New Thought, but it's also a very powerful tool for people that are beginning their spiritual journey into the New Thought philosophy. It is New Thought, and I use the word New Thought a lot, but the second part of that is ancient wisdom. These teachings are older than the great Library of Alexandria, built some 200 to 300 years before the birth of Jesus. I opened up talking about that library. You know, books, they're a powerful, powerful tool. They've been used in the world to teach. They've been used in the world to create destruction. There have been people that have banned books, burned books. But in today's world, where we have an electronic media that has made it virtually impossible, I believe, for someone to keep the truth from people, you can go, you can take time, you can find books. And from those books, from the written word, whether you read it electronically or whether you read it on paper, you can learn, you can grow. And in the world today, I believe that God is a God of humanity, and God is not a God of an era or a century. I believe that in humanity, as we've learned and as we've grown as humankind, our understanding of God has grown, and I believe that it is represented today best in the New Thought philosophy, but it is not the only philosophy. But it is one that is well represented in the world that we live in for people that take the time to find this information, and it is available to you. It's available through findacenter.com. It is available through the newthoughtlibrary.com, the Divine Journal. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's been a pleasure for me to take the time today and talk about this because it has served me so well. It has served the people in our congregation, and I believe that it has served the world. And it's my personal thank you to Serving New Thought that I have done this, and my thank you to you as my audience. And so it's getting to be that time we're going to wrap things up. It's been a wonderful day. I hope you have learned a lot. I hope you've taken the tools that I have presented and you will take and put them into practice in your life, that you'll do the research, that you'll do the study. Spiritual growth is a personal journey. It's nothing that somebody can tell you about on Sunday. It's nothing that somebody can tell you about in a book and leave you to be. It is a journey that you have to walk yourself. You have to do the work. You have to put in the time. And time is what God gave you when you came into this world. And so with that, my friends, we'll wrap today's show up like always. May the light of God surround you. May the love of God enfold you. May the power of God protect you and the presence of God watch over you, because wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Make it a great week. I'll see you next time.
I am a monster.
I will never back down.
I am part of a tradition.
I got green in my veins!
I'm ready to go!
I'm a monster!
This is our team.
This is our town!
This is our barn! This is our time.
I am relentless.
I will never get tired of the goal song.
I'm ready to go!
I will never quit.
I am a monster.
I am a monster!
I am a monster!
Watch Tim Thiessen live Wednesdays at 3 p.m. right here on CentralValleyTalk.com and on digital channel 33.2. If you missed the live broadcast, we're on every Wednesday night at 11 p.m. on Comcast channel 200 and digital channel 43.5. You don't want to miss this.
You're watching CentralValleyTalk.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com.